Hey, it's Gene. I want to talk today. Um, over the last couple of days, I've been listening to different pundits talking about how we can settle this issue that we have with guns in this country. And I want to take it from a different side. Some of you who actually listen to my videos know what I talk about, suicide. And I want to continue to talk about it, but I want to look at it a little bit more broadly and provide some sort of solutions of what we can do to hopefully you can never stop it, but at least try to make it better than it was. As most people know that who listens to me, the rest of the general public doesn't know this. About 2%, two times of the people, two times the numbers of homicides or suicides in this country. In context, basically, what I'm saying, about 60% or more of those who were killed with a gun in this country is by suicide. And about 80 to 90% of gun deaths by suicide are from the male side of the fence, let's say. So this, to me, is the bigger issue. Now, there are people on the gun rights issues do not like to put suicide in the figures when we talk about how many people killed with guns every year. But I'm going to put it in there because it is the choice of mostly males to kill themselves. And people want to use gun control or some sort of gun. That's not going to stop somebody who wants to kill himself or somebody who wants to go into shoot somebody up in a school. They're going to find a way to get the gun. In the old days, I used to thought that this would be the way to do it. I know it doesn't work. So my thing is we need to get this thing early in its development before the person gets the idea that they want to kill themselves or they want to kill people and then kill themselves afterwards. And that, I think, would probably at least take 50 to 60% of the people that are killed with a gun per year, if we can. And I think there's a way that could be done. What really angers me is when I hear therapists or doctors get on people's shows and say they don't like the fact that people equate those people that go into universities and kill people with mental issues. And I would point to them that almost everybody in the last 20 years that went into Virginia Tech, that went to Sandy Hook, the guy in Oregon, the guy that killed the kids or the people in the theater in Aurora, every one of those people had issues and were on some sort of mental health type subscriptions. Most of them for depression people use. I had to use it. That messes with your brain. And for them to sit there and say they don't want to equate with mental issues, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get away from the blame for what we know that these drugs can do to people. There have been several documentaries, and I'll try to link them down low. These different type of documentaries that said with these type of drugs, especially when you give it to them early in their life, and how it alters the brain. And that gets me to the other part of my point, is that I am a men's rights activist, but I'm also a humanist. I know that most of this is a male issue. I'm not saying because we're born that way. What I'm saying is that we have the ability that will go that way. We're the people that take risks more than females do. And part of our nature allows us or can do this to us, especially if we are giving something when our brain is not even formed, because we're told in school that we're different. We're a loner. We can't stay in our chair. And these kids, I'm not going to say everybody that did this when they're 10 years old that were getting this in school, but it's an epidemic how we medicate our kids. Almost 70 to 80% of the people that get on these drugs are boys because, and I've talked about this before, we have, and this is nothing against the female teachers at schools, but the point is 30 or 40 years ago there was been a big, huge migration from schools from males. So these boys have no one to talk to. The school has been girlified for better than a bad term there, but that's really what's happened. They become saying the girls are the gold standard, and if the boys get in there and they don't know how to deal with them, they say something, put it on a piece of paper, it goes home, and then the parents have two choices: to try to tell it to discipline their boys at home, and then the boys might go back and do something again, and then they get suspended, or they go and see a doctor, and the first thing these doctors want to do is to put them on some sort of mind-altering type of drug early in their life before the brain is even formed. And this is one of the biggest atrocities that we've done to our kids. And there are so many variations of it. A lot of it has to do, not always directly, but part of indirectly from the feminist movement. That we just think that boys have to be taught, that boys can't be boys, and this thing is that's gone into our school system, and women, like I said, a lot of women, a lot of females are really good teachers, but they don't know how to deal with boys sometimes, and they say, I'm not going to deal with them until they are basically zombies in class. And this is where people start. And again, I don't know if I can make the causal relationship between all of these people, then maybe they were all on some sort of drugs, but I know that Ellie Rogers was, I know that Lanza was. I think there is a causal relationship, and certainly all of them, at some point in their life, there was something like this. Now, people say to me, well, then they must have went in and talked to somebody, and they should have got help, and they weren't helpful, they couldn't be fixed, so they did what they had to do. It was their choice. No, again, this is another industry that's almost dominated by females, and the textbooks that they look at are based on that, and they treat you like a girl, and they don't understand how boys react to things. When boys are having issues, behavior issues, you don't give them a drug. You give them a job, and you make sure that they do it, and they have goals, issues. You say, you do this, you get this. And sometimes we can have to teach young boys like their dogs, say, do this, you'll get this, do this, that, and they get some sort of empowerment from that. I'm not saying that's how we should, but sometimes it helps. And so the men have failed in this issue as well. We haven't brought it up enough. So when I try to say that I want to get this at the earliest areas, it would be in the school system. And my points here are this. We've taken away recess. This is something that is integral to both girls and boys, but very much for boys. We should allow them to actually have fun and play on the playground. Now, there's a difference between bullying, or boys being boys and going up to a girl and maybe pull her hair, and then the other one calls, the teacher, and they let it go. There's a difference than everything being about sexual harassment, when a boy goes up and maybe pecks on a girl on the head, or when a boy comes in with a gun that looks like that's from a Pop-Tart. We got to get past this, okay? Boys need this type of outlet, and if they don't get it, not all of them, but there are part of them that they will just say, if nobody wants to listen to me, nobody wants to hang out with me, they think I'm stupid. And the shaming tactic starts so early in life for boys. And then as they get to 16, 17 years old, they actually believe that the entire world's against them. And it just feeds this whole thing. A lot of it is narcissism, but it's also this manic depressive. And some of them on drugs, and some of them come off of it, and then they say, you know what, I'm just going to do this, and they go out and kill people. Doesn't excuse what they did. They knew what they were doing was wrong. But the point is, more gun control is not going to solve all that, because these guys are smart enough that they'll go in and put bombs against them and walk into somewhere and blow it up. It's going to happen. I want it to get it early in their life, to give them something that they can strive for. Now, everybody, at the end of the day, there's still going to be that very, very small percentage of people that will do stuff like this. In this country, a lot of us are under some sort of medical issues, mental issues. And I understand what this person was talking about when he was on the show. trying to equate it with people on depression, and we want to say that we want to take their guns away and stuff like that. I understand that point. However, there is a reason why we need to. This is one of the reasons why we need to get off the drugs in this country anyway. When it comes to stuff like this, I mean, if you're really that bad or really depressed and that stuff, and again, I was on it for over a year, and it destroyed with me or messed with me, so I got off of it. And there are thousands of people on YouTube. You can see this is my experience that I had of this drug, and they got off of it. And several documentaries that said what this does to your brain. And when it happens when you're a young boy, a young girl, it destroys your brain. And we need to stop this from happening. And we just let it do it because it makes so much freaking money, and we just don't care. And well, we all get all upset when somebody does this, and somebody might bring up the mental issues. But most of it, it's like, well, we'll tell the gun manufacturers not to make sure that they will be responsible if something like that happens. So I'm going to go through these things. I think I said some of them already. Of course, I can't hardly read. Yeah, I said that I really believe that shop needs to be back in high school. And I do believe that there should be a class for both boys and girls of building computers or technology type of stuff to get that for them. I know they're like having vocational schools in school. But those type of things that boys actually can use their hands, men especially, and boys, are tactile creatures and visual, of course. And being able to do this and build something and have that pride of making it, that's something that our generations right now doesn't have. And they just sit there and get online, and if somebody said something to them, they'll internalize it. And even though this is one person out of 60 billion or 6 billion people on the earth saying something nasty online, and they internalize it, and some people can't deal with that, and they have no place to go to. And I've said it so many times in my videos, tell me where these boys can go to. That's not going to be somebody that's another, again, I hate, but it's true, almost all of it is dominated by females who do not understand the experience of being a boy. They don't understand how they work. They can look in a textbook and say it, but most of those textbooks are made by other boys or other women, and they have these nice little things we should do. And anybody that just takes back and look at the, I'm not going to say the wussification of the men or the boys in this society. It's clear. And is that what we want? We want all to be exactly the same. But I'm getting off my tangent here. It could be fixed, and something that's really not that. It's not very invasive. You say, I want more of these type of classes. I want these people to have recess. I want them to have more than just one male on campus. That it should be 30 to 40 or 50% of the teachers should be male. And if that means that the government has to pay more for teachers, fine, whatever. This needs to be done, and give them an outlet, and private corporations should come in and have like internships as well. And the other thing is, we need to destroy all the bad schools and build the best ones in the world. This country, with as much money we have, why I walk around or drive around and I see that these schools are just dilapidated. It's disgusting to me. In this country, we should have the best schools in the world. Now, from a federal government type of system, the government has to, at some point, actually have a must have a men's issues or healthcare agency. They don't have them. They have 6 or 7 for women. They need to do it, and they need to have people actually look at this and take all the other stuff in the pack, all the other social sciences type stuff, and look how boys actually look at things. There have been several studies that shows how boys look at things, how they see their fulfillment from doing things. Normally, building something, getting that goal, getting that approval for themselves, other guys, even women in their lives. That's what we need. And until that happens, until we actually look at that, and then we get away from this political theater trying to say this. There are two huge issues that are driving the amount of people who get killed every year. The first is suicide. Okay, that's that's twice more than any homicides. After that, the most, if you look just at homicides, it's almost 70 to 80% is black on black with a gun. And yes, white people kill each other too at 85% of death on white people are from other white people. But the numbers are more staggering on the black and black. And until that comes up, until we say that this needs to be fixed, that we sit there and saying it's not the white people that are killing the black people, that all lives matter, and then when somebody happens in the black community and they kill each other, that those people, they need to get out and march. I've said it before in other videos. Instead of when a thug, sometimes, not all of them are thugs, they unfortunately get killed in cops' custodies, and you walk around and march and you loot, and that's that type of thing. That's not fixing anything. So if we can fix that, the things I talk about, having more males in when it comes to suicide, it's a huge issue in the black community and the white community. If you have more males and mentor systems, whatever, you know what I'm saying. This stuff will come down in 10 years, 20 years. We'll go from 33 or 40,000 people dying from a gun in this country to half of that, and probably 75% of that. Now, with my brain issues and the fact I can't talk and it's hard for me to write, if I can think of something like this, somebody can put that together. And I know there's a couple of people online on the White House Council on Boys and Men. We've tried to get to this president to talk to him, and he won't do it because he is under the foot of feminism, and he won't allow this decision to come out. Do we really need a lot of money? I'd say one F-22 will probably do enough to do things, at the federal level, and then the rest of us need to do it. And we have to put the politicians on notice and ask them, why aren't you doing something about it? The guns are never going to get taken out of this country. It's not going to happen. Okay, you can have, what? I'm for common sense gun control. Yeah, you should have, they should check your background. But it's not going to stop somebody like Lanza or this guy. It ain't going to stop him. He got all his stuff for free, or he got it legally. But we need to find out why he gets this, why it's come to this. Why does he decide that this is something he needs to do? I'm not saying that we should be doing all catcher and rye and know that somebody is going to do it when they're 14 or 14 years old, and then we have to put them in jail or commit them. What we need to do is have the interventions early on. If you see that people are they're not, just because he's sitting somebody's sitting in his chair and he falls out of his chair, doesn't mean, oh shit, I can't control him. Or if he says something out of turn, or he can't listen to directions, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to put on drugs when they're 6 or 7 or 8 years old and think that's going to fix it. It doesn't. It might help it for the ones that are so bad that, that they can be focused. Most times, almost all, every man who's ever watched this, anybody my age, know that we had issues when we were young. We had our problems with attention. If they'd have gave it to me, I was ADD back then by their definition now, and I grew through it. I became mature. I realized what's more important. I have responsibilities. I was told by other men this is how to be responsible, and I did it. We need to stop it. We need to, instead of putting on a phone and texting anybody, hey, you need to go up and say you're doing a good job and hug other boys and go. No, it's going to sound gay or whatever. It sounds like you're doing something stupid there, but we have taken the male, the masculinity away from our society, and it's destroying us, and we need to get it back. Anyway, if you guys have any comments, just put it in my comments. I know this needs to change, and I don't know how we're ever going to get it. I can't find anybody on either side of the political spectrum that's going to do anything about it, because they know where the money comes, and you know, they a lot of them actually believe that all men are like this. They definitely believe that they're the good man and the rest of us are bad, and that shaming tactic just continues on, and the feminist movement has made it 10 times worse. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you for listening, and you guys have a good day. Bye.